Follow him on social media. He's consistently cracking them.
What's his last name? Poe?
Poe.
Yo, Poe?
Yeah. His Instagram name is Poe J Poe. That dude, he whacks them. He's a short banger at heart. He's been probably one of my #1 guys in terms of promoting. I have, like Gunnar Campbell and my buddy James Collins. They all help me with these rods. But he's the one who provides the most content because he's the one that gets bit the most. If there's anything you can learn from that guy, it's just be different. He looks different, he talks different, he throws different baits. He has a different mindset. He's throwing a big M, which dives down 30 feet. And he's throwing it in like 10 feet of water. And logically, you're like, how does that make sense? But he's catching fish. Jeremy Poe, the floor's yours, brother.
Alright, I'm Jeremy, and spotties are what I fish for primarily. My way of targeting spotties is not like everybody else. I don't want to sit there and throw a bait and pick apart an area. I like to go through it, cast a couple times, hit the primary locations where you think your fish should be holding. It sounds simple, but it's something that covering water is the primary goal of spotty fishing. The more places you go cast that has structure and the right necessities that you're looking for spotties, the chances are you're going to get bit eventually. So if you can cover as much water as possible, that's my #1 goal. A bait I really like to throw is the crankbait. Once I figured out that spotties eat the crankbait, I just exploited it as much as I could. You could force feed it to them, but there's days where they just won't touch it. Bottom line. Don't like to throw it at night. Some guys get bit. I just can't seem to do it. But the crankbait is one of my #1 baits. After that, I like to go to stuff that's like an invertebrate, really. Something that looks like it would come off the bottom on like little jig rigs, and you could go Texas rig even. It all crosses over. Try to stay as weedless as possible. Mainly when you're spotty fishing, that's the #1 goal, is keep it weedless. Because where they live, where the big ones live, it's the snaggiest areas. This is the 794 that we came out with iRod. I like this rod because it allows you to kind of step up into that next realm of throwing a bigger bait for spotties. I don't have any with me, but I like to throw the Unique Baits Gill and a couple of his other baits. I even throw the Mega Bass Freestyle for spotties. And it's nice to have a rod that can handle that bigger bait continually all day. And then when you do get the right bite and they want to go for the cover, this thing can pull straight out. You're not going to break this thing.
Okay, you're scared, bro. Jesus. That's 101 right there. That's,
yeah, this is the first one.
So I've been talking about iRods, right? He allowed me to build a team. He allowed me to design some rods. Not only that, he allowed me to give the opportunity for others to do it. He came out with that 794. Yeah, I hope you guys will take the time afterwards to actually pull on that rod. We did a 733 as a 7'3" medium heavy. We did the 7'6" 4-power heavy mod action rod. Then we did the mag, the 794 mag. That's going to be called Poe's Mag Stick. We're going to set him up in the future. He's going to do a Poe's Junior Stick as well. That rod right there, if you're fishing calicos, you're tired of throwing a 300, 400 size reel for calicos at the island, you want to use a 200 size reel, like two brothers over there, that's the rod. They'll pull them out of any cover.
Yeah, I like the smaller rip baits, that stuff, like the small deep divers if you're calico fishing, like he said. Sometimes you don't want to be throwing these littler baits when they're keyed in on the small stuff. You don't want to be throwing them on these extra heavy calico weedless rigs. It's not really optimal for when you do hook them on a treble hook bait. So having something like this that can kind of cover the trifecta from spotties inshore on the heavier end all the way up to calico at the wall and even at the island with the smaller baits, even like a smaller weedless, that's a key rod definitely. When it comes to spotties too, I really like throwing the jig because you can have something like a swim bait, you can have something like a craw that has a primary action as the trailer, but you also have a lot of secondary action when you pause the bait. And there's been times where I'm literally sitting there texting my wife back and I'm on, because it's just sitting there, there's current blowing through, it's undulating. Having a bait that has a secondary action can be really key for spotties as well. They like blades too. Everybody kind of knows that. It's flashy, especially as it gets warmer and there's more bait in the bay. Having flash, that is a key factor. I think not always having the flash though, because I'll fish an underspin at night. Having that vibration that mimics a quick tail kick instead of like those big Kitechs, you know, those have a big lumbering tail kick. Having something that has that, almost like it's not even kicking, it's just barely, that can be key too, because it's more of a lateral line, they feel it type deal, and it mimics that so well that I think that can be a key factor as well. If you guys have any questions about spotties, let me know.
What's that trailer you got?
This trailer, I'm big into the Japanese stuff, and this is actually a freshwater bait. They call it the bellows gill. They throw it in the grass, weedless, and it's meant to just mimic the kind of profile of a young gill. It has a lot of secondary action too, like when you grip it, pop pop, that whole thing will kick and flutter. I like this because I think it mimics like what I would consider a baby halibut or a sand dab coming up off the bottom to eat something and trying to lay back down. Or if you fish for spotties, you know they cough up things all the time, and they're eating a lot of crustaceans. And I don't know if you've seen videos, but clams and scallops can undulate across the bottom. They can swim through. So it's really cool to have a bait that kind of mimics something else other than just a straight swim bait paddle tail. That does work, it's tried and true, but like T was talking about with the big largemouth, you kind of want to step outside the realm of what everyone else does to try to trigger that bite of that bigger, older, smarter fish. That's something that I try to keep my eye on for new baits consistently, because with spotty fishing, they've seen a lot of things already, especially these older fish, to where I want to show them something they may have never seen before. And like they all say, fish don't have hands, so they have to grab it to check it out. And if you can pique their attention just enough to come check it out, that could be the deciding factor of catching that big one, you know?
About scents. Do you guys eat any
I'm
scents?
big in the sense. I try everything I can. Sometimes I feel like that can be a deciding factor of a tough bite day, of actually getting those 2 or 3 fish to bite. This comes with a weird scent. I don't know what it is. It's something I've really never smelled before. It's pretty cool. But I do like the fish scent a lot. They all work, really, in my opinion. Like I said, spotted bay bass eat a lot of invertebrates and crustaceans, so even like a craw scent really does get bit. It works. Yeah.
What about your mindset when you're fishing like a warbait versus a crankbait? What's the difference for you?
Okay, so those are 2 completely, like, I guess, spectrums of bait. With a warbait, I'm generally going to either fish it on a jig or on just a straight swim bait. And I like to cast that out, let it sink to the bottom, and depending on the trailer, I'm going to just straight grind and kind of learn to feel with my finger and like they say, be the bait. And overfishing over time, you can kind of feel, like T said, whether you're in some mucky, soft bottom grass or you're coming up through structure. And I'm generally fishing a warbait or that style of bait on a slower grind, on a consistent, every now and again stop, you know, just to check to see how far I've come off the bottom. I mean, it is called angling, so you have to think in your mind as you're reeling up, especially me being a shore angler all the time. It's not just coming flat with the bottom, you're coming up on an angle consistently every time you slowly grind through. So you have to remind to kind of pre-spool for a second or check the feel for bottom and see how far you've come off the bottom, because spotties do like to hold close to the bottom. So especially in the colder months, you can have them suspend during the big bait season when it's really hot out, but I like to fish the warbait slow and low, and with a crankbait, I'm trying to, like I said, cover as much water as possible, and I fish it so fast, you can't outturn them. There's no reel, no one's arm is quick enough. These things are lightning fast. You are never going to be able to turn it fast enough to pull it away from them. And I think by turning it that fast and burning your crankbaits in, that can trigger that bite rather than trying to just slow, low, and pick it apart. At times you want to also, if you're dredging, high tip and feel, you know, but crankbaits are generally a faster bait to keep the action continuous and trigger that fish, you know. Oh, it's getting away, let me go get it, you know. That's basically my mindset with the crankbait. But with the warbait and something like that, I can either be fishing a craw and like straight jigging that off the bottom, or I'll generally be with a swim bait, slow grinding it. Like you see the videos where they talk about fishing the HUD real slow. At times you want to be reeling actually that slow, depending on the water and what size of lead you're throwing on your swim bait.
Where's your favorite place to fish for spotties?
I'm not gonna say that. Good try though. Good job, bud. Yes.
What do you do when the water is dead and there's no movement?
You know what? Surprisingly, I have had my best bites when I get off work kind of early and it's like noon, the sun's high, it's slack low tide, and I'll be fishing a crankbait, but maybe not as deep. You know, I'll shallow up because it is shallower, and I'll just be chugging along, and you can see them come out. So generally, when they're going to be more timid and wanting to hide when the water's not moving and you're not thinking of them as being active, that's when I'll try to trigger more of a reaction bite rather than try to pick it apart. But if I do want to have an approach of a finesse approach, I might even go weightless, depending on how low the tide is and how little movement it is, because rate of fall can have a big deal of why you might get bit, especially while fishing more of a finesse or a crustacean or invertebrate approach, because if you've ever seen a crab fall off a piling, it doesn't jet down to the bottom like a half-ounce head. It kind of, you know, it takes its time to get down, and that can be a big deal.
Just give me a winner. That's the only one I like.
Not necessarily. I like I said, I generally, being a spastic kind of guy, I want to fish a fast bait, so I kind of always start out with what I want to throw, and then I can choose my bait. That's what's cool about hard baits is they have all the varying lips, all the varying sizes, to where if you learn your area and you know how deep this stuff is, you can kind of build an arsenal of like, this is how I fish depending on the tide with a certain style of bait. Does that make sense? So I fish what I want first, and then that's when I try to figure it out if they don't want that. You know, but when I am fishing a high tide, I try to think of that during low tide, they can't get to certain areas that they might want to get to pull something off the bottom or ambush from that location. So I'll generally try and fish shallow as I can on the higher tides, thinking that they want to take advantage of that time to be able to move up and eat something in a location that they don't always get to spend a lot of time, because if they don't have eyelids, the sun gets bright, they don't want to be around that area. A seal could come in and get them, you know. So I try to keep my baits in the shallower stuff when it's high tide, and when it is low tide, they will pull off, you know. So that's when I'll probably start to try and bomb cast and kind of work the bottom out there.
Do you use that on a smooth, flat bottom?
Yeah, I will throw this in a flat bottom area, but most of the places in the bay that you will be fishing for spotties, you will find drop-offs, and you will find that it's kind of sloping in as you come in. So I generally try and target a drop-off location or some sort of structure that they might be wanting to come off of the bottom and come take a bite of it.
What do you say? That's the bait that never lets you down?
Not necessarily. They didn't really want this morning. They wanted this little guy instead, you know? It has caught me my bigger spotties, and I have an opinion just about fishing. When you do hook the one that you're fishing, I don't always want to hook him in his home where he lives. You're not going to stand a good chance against that. So having him come out to get something, you kind of stand a better chance. You know, that makes sense, because they're so quick to be right back in there and rock you that, I mean, I've seen this guy get ruined a couple times on this boat, where he's in there and as soon as you set the hook, they're right back in there with their gills flared, and you're not going to pull them out of there. You're just not. So I personally do like to fish something like that.
What would you say the bait that your go-to bait?
Personally, it's the crankbait, just because I like to fish that. That's my style of fishing. It's what I enjoy most. The way they attack it, you know, the way they hit is my favorite. But like I said, I just kind of break it down from there. I start with what I like personally, and then I just kind of break it down and go with, I mean, this is a pretty finesse approach for spotties, jiggling this on the bottom, you know, next to pilings and whatnot. So.
How are you fishing that little thing
This
right
little
there?
thing,
This is just a trailer, like
slow
you have
and
to
low
put
and
a
on the
jig?
bottom, you know.
Yeah.
You can fish it on Texas rig, little like swivel heads, things
Sure,
of that
yeah.
nature. Even like I have the bigger one rigged up on a jig right here. There's however you can imagine
Sure.
it. You know, you could even just put it on a board base and just kind of drag it if you want.
Chug it along.
Yeah. Of course, dude. They're, I guess, like a reptile, or they're cold-blooded animals. So, I mean, I can, yeah. You know, you can definitely catch them year-round, but when that water warms up, you know, their metabolism also speeds up as well. Being that they're going to want to eat more, the bait is bigger in the bay, they can be more aggressive. Don't be scared to fish fast when it is warm, you know. I'm talking more July and August and stuff like that, but yeah, definitely.
Recommendations on cranks?
Cranks. I personally, like I said, like the JDM stuff, like Mega Bass and things of that nature. You can fish whatever you want, though. I recommend something on the deeper side because you're probably not going to be throwing it on the rated line that its depth is rated for. You're going to be going heavier because of the initial shock force that a spotty will put on you when it first hits. So I also think of the fact that saltwater is a lot more buoyant. So these are rated for freshwater a lot of times. So you kind of want to go on the deeper side, in my opinion. But with cranks, yeah, I like the Mega Bass stuff. You're going to be wanting to probably get something that goes about 17 foot and start there, you know? Because you don't want to be snagging bottom all the time. I've kind of learned to navigate these things now through the snags and the stuff. Grass is your enemy with these things, though. You don't really want to be fishing a grassy area, and if you are, you're going to be wanting to make sure that your bait is being well above like the grass, because it'll foul it all the time, and then every cast is kind of wasted, you know?
Is color important with the bay bass or not really?
I think it is. I really think it is. Think about the area that you fish a lot, and think about what lives there, what they look like. Study, like when you walk, look, you know, look at the stuff, and then try to base it on that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Match the hatch, basically, you know? I mean, some people are like, oh, it doesn't matter, it's whatever. Let them eat that cake. I'm gonna eat mine. This color matters a lot to me. I like and obviously match the hatch works, but throwing them something they've never seen that just kind of confuses them. Like I said, they don't have hands, so they want to get out there and touch it, you know? That's my approach with that.
Your line recommendations for your different sizes of baits right there?
I'm fishing for the biggest spotty I can get, and I know they break you off. I got broke off twice this morning. So, with that being said, I like to keep in the 20 to 25 range. Some people fish 30. I feel like 30 is where your baits will start to not run as well or have as much action due to the stiffness of that leader lines.
Right.
But, I fish 40-pound braid. That's 40 pound. It casts well, not too thick. You can keep a ton of it on there, you know?
Did you say 40?
40 on the braid, yeah, that's what I like to fish.
You know some of the spinning?
Spinning? No, I don't do that stuff. Because like I said, if you're going to hook the one on a spinning rod, good freaking luck, buddy. You know, like, I don't know about that. There's people who do like to spin. I'm not that guy. I've been broke off too many times. What's that? No, I know, and there is the bigger spinning setups, but me being a shore angler, I want something that's kind of bait casting that I can be accurate with and stuff.
I'm talking more like in the full tube, in the middle.
Yeah, you could do that for sure, but man, I'm just not that guy. I'm not the guy to ask about that one.
Yeah, we actually made a rod for the float tuber and kayaker. Yeah, so James Collins, he has really good insights in this rod right here. It's a 7'3" medium heavy. It's a spinning rod. Hey Richard, grab this. Richard, grab it. Grab that bait. Just grab the bait. We wanted to make a rod that had the balls to be able to do it if it happens. But if you're standing from shore and there's docks and rocks and all that, the chances of you pulling up a 5-pound spotted bay bass on a spinning rod, very slim. You know, we wanted to make a rod to accommodate the guys who float tube. One, we did the longer butt and end. Guys like longer butts, I guess. Then you just tuck it in the bottom. It's super comfortable. It's 7'3", so it gets in front of the kayak. It's really comfortable on a float tube. That's what this rod was designed for. I don't recommend any spinning rod from shore. It is what it is. I mean, if you're gonna go out there and catch like regular spotties, it'd be the time of your life. But you know, if you're just into like a fight, take a trout rod and a mini jig and go fish mackerel. You guys never tried it? I take my son all the time. He's like, "Oh, Dad, it's a big one," and I'm like, "Oh, it's not, son." And then when I try to take him like bass fishing, he's like, "Dad, this sucks. Let's go back. Let's go catch the shiny ones again." Oh, all right, you can let it go. I'll try fishing. Thanks for ignoring me once. My old lady ignored me on the first time. Look at us. We've been married for 7 years. That's coming out. You guys have any more questions for Jeremy?
What's that rod that you guys use for like the 200 or 300?
We were using the Kamina 804s, but what we noticed was you don't need a 300-400 size reel for calico, sandies, and spotties. It's nice to have, especially if you're fishing like the island and that deep kelp. But for harbor fishing, we wanted to make a rod that can accommodate 200 size reels. And that's Jeremy Poe's rod.
Yeah, just a 794.
That's a 794. That's the prototype rod. This is the rod that he's been going on. He's probably already caught 50, 60, over 16-inch spotted bait bass on it. You know.
Yeah. I like this rod. I would even be comfortable throwing on the lighter side of an A-rig on this too. You could put a 300 size reel on this, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's really good with the 200 size or the 150 size reels. Just make sure you get something with strong drag if you're fishing saltwater harbors.
Say you're targeting calico short. So you're mainly looking for boiler rocks and kelp.
Yeah, basically I'm looking for a lot of action, a lot of movement, something that's going to sustain a constant flow of food to a fish that can hold on that stuff. And then just hold on and be ready. Those things pull like a goddamn pit bull.
And what kind of baits do you like for those?
I really like the Lucky Craft 190. That is my go-to bait for a big boiler calico situation. Less kelp, more of on the open side of the water. After that, I'm going to go with probably just a 2 ounce and a 5-inch to a 9-inch trailer swim bait. I like weedless, but they're just starting to come out with hooks heavy enough on the weighted side because a ½ ounce in the movement it's just right up top, and sometimes they don't want to eat it off the top. So they're coming out with like the 3/4 ounce stuff and the heavier stuff. So that's cool to see. But yeah, with the boiler calicos, I just basically look for water clarity, like line, I mean, where there's less movement, you're going to have crystal clear water more than likely, and then as it gets in, you're going to see like more of a sea foam minty color, and where it's kind of clouded up a little bit, and the bait would get lost and get a little too close, and that's that line I want to work right there, that clarity line.
What kind of colors are you looking for that setup of the 190 series?
I mean, they like red is dead for calico, little sidgerita fish, little fish, all that stuff, even crab look-alike stuff. After that, I'm going to go for something that's like sardine or mackerel, just something shiny and bait fishy looking. Okay. Even smelt colors work really well.
You like the smoke color?
What was that?
The smoke color?
I like the smelt color. That's a good color. Yeah, I mean, and like I said, throw them something flashing crazy like they've never seen before, and some random friggin' day glow color, like they bite it, those are mean fish, especially if you can catch them when they want to eat. And that's my main thing. I don't want to sit there and pick apart an area and convince a spotty to eat, or a bass, or anything really. I'm looking for the fish that is locked, loaded, and ready to go, and I swam my lure past it. That's the fish that I'm trying to actually catch.
I think Jeremy kind of hit up on everything harbor. Did you guys have any more questions in regards to harbor bass fishing? I kind of wanted my man to shine over here. I appreciate you coming up and doing it. But I don't think I can cover anything.
Don't ramble all day long.
So
Don't even get started.
Was there any questions in general that you guys have? I would say that in the past year, I've transitioned from not really caring about scent to now understanding that scent plays a huge deal. Like he was telling me, let's go on, let's go out. You caught that 9.5, 10 pounder last year. It was on scent. And some of the biggest calico I've caught, some 6, 7 pounders, even some 8 pounders on this boat, was all on scent. In the days that I go out and I didn't have scent, or I had the scent, but it was so mushy, I didn't want to come out. I was like, forget this. It was slower days. I can't tell you what scent works. I can't tell you why it works. I can just say that it has been working for me to the point where now I try to put that in the game plan. I don't have a favorite for swim baits. I like the Bass Dynasty, the shad one, or the bluegill. For the ocean, it's I like Bass Dynasty, and I like garlic, that spray shad. That's pretty much it. And uni butter, if you can find it. You guys have any more questions?
Do you use mega baits for bass?
I do. Actually, there's a bunch of people fishing the SPS tournament today, and they're fishing the mega bait. There's a bunch of them. I mean, I'll say it now because we're all here, you know. But they're out there grinding it out to try to catch a good limit for a good check. And a lot of them are using the mega bait right now, or the small like 21 gram poke sniper. That seems to have been the key. I've been going out there and I was fishing. I've been fishing out there and I wanted to fish the SPS. We coordinated for this day. I'm really glad I did it. You know, I think the turnout came out pretty good for what this small thing was. I appreciate you guys coming on out. Did everybody here get a raffle ticket? Yeah?
Yeah.
If you guys are looking to purchase any other rod in the future, I hope you guys look into iRod. You know, it's a newer company that's come out in this like local scene. It's starting to blow up, but not because we're paying for advertising on Instagram, but everyone on the team actually fishes. There's a lot of people here that do fish iRod. I know for the most part, everybody here at SavOn fishes though. They're great rods. So if you're looking at a new rod in the future, check them out. Lifetime warranty. We don't get rich off you guys, so we're not going to charge you $300 for a bass rod. We do have $250 rods, but they're the same graphite used on $500 rods. So we're not trying to get rich off you guys. I do look forward to seeing you guys' fish pics. Everyone who knows me knows my saying, don't count your blessings, pass them. I live by it. I hope that one day you guys do the same. Thank you again, guys.
Thank you.